So this whole video and all these clips here are color graded and edited in Final Cut Pro, as you can tell. And I'm really excited to show off how I did it because of this special plugin called DaVinci. Thank you, DaVinci, for actually giving this software to me to try out. It's really cool that they did. I'm not being paid by DaVinci to give a favorable review. I'm just lent the software in order to show you guys what this can do. And for someone who's grown up on Final Cut Pro, one of the worst things about Final Cut Pro is the fact that it has very limiting color grading tools. So when DaVinci said, oh, this thing can actually upgrade Final Cut Pro's color grading tools, I was immediately intrigued. No matter how good these plugins are, DaVinci just has better tools in general. I think if you're still worried about that, DaVinci is still the best way to go. But anyone that's using Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro that kind of want to emulate film, for example, but they just don't have the tools to do that, I think DaVinci has a very easy way to do it. Not only does DaVinci make it very easy for you to do, it's very effective in what it does. So I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I color grade in Final Cut Pro, and then when I add DaVinci, show how much that amplifies the film-ish look that I always go for in my videos. As you can see in this video right here, it looks honestly very good. I love the way this looks. If this doesn't scream filmic tones to you, I don't know what does. But yeah, let's start color grading in Final Cut Pro. First all we want to do is get a color space transform, but in this case we don't have color space transform because it's in DaVinci. Because color space transform is the DaVinci thing, we're just going to use a custom LUT and put that onto our footage. And then we're just gonna get a LUT you can get from your whatever camera you have and just convert it to Rec 709. Get an S-Log3 to Rec 709 convert LUT. It's like, that's how you do it. In this case, that's literally what I have, so I'm gonna put a Rec 709 LUT on top of it. There we go. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is get a color board, and it's very important that when you put a color board on this, you drag all your color adjustments to the very top, because in Final Cut Pro, it just goes from top down, and it really does affect how it's looking, because you'd be technically grading Rec 709 footage, but right now you're grading log, so you want to make sure you grade the log and then put the Rec 709 behind that, that's basically what it is. First thing we're going to touch is exposure. I always tend to like darker, moodier shadows, so I'm going to bring down my exposure just a little bit, down my midtones, and then see how that looks. Yeah, I definitely want this. So, okay, but the midtones are affecting the shadows, so I'm going to bring the shadows up a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I want. And then the highlights are definitely really bright. Let's just say I kind of want one here. Then I'm going to bring up my shadows just a little bit. And yeah, that looks a lot better. This is what it was before. We now have a moodier image. That's amazing. Okay, now after this, I'm going to put some color wheels. And color wheels is basically where I'm going to adjust most of the saturation and the color temperature. That's kind of where I'm going to be with this. Yeah, so obviously I said it was cool. Obviously this is a very cool image, so I'm going to bring this up a little bit to warm. Oh, and oh, wait, actually, here you go. Well, but every time you do put a color wheel, you have to drag it. See this? Look at that. It was different, but when I put even though the temperature is changed, you want to put it before the Rec 709 convert, because now you can actually see that it's warmer. I'll show it again. I'll show it. I'll put it really warm to show you an example. If you put it here, you can see it, but if you put it behind it, you won't see it at all. It's really wild, but you have to make sure you do that. That's the best example to show. I like the warmish tones of the highlights. I'm going to bring my mid tones a little bit warm too. Now I get a little bit more of a dusky, filmish tone. Yeah, okay, I think that's good enough for me for like the basic edit. And I think that looks pretty close to what I got here. And just with these adjustments, you can see that we get a good amount of the way there. So let's get the enhancer. I'm gonna bring that in. Again, go back here, drag, make sure the enhancer's at the bottom after the LUT. Because if you put it above it, it's gonna affect it a little bit too weird, and you're gonna be wanting to affect the Rec 709 here. And then now we're gonna use the enhancer. Now there are a ton of things in the enhancer's app, and I think I've played with it a bit. I don't know exactly what all of them do. I won't lie, but in my experience, the only ones I really need to touch are temperature and exposure compensation, because this is just, it's basic exposure up. It's basically a basic lift up and a little bit of a warmness to it, so I tend to touch those. Then the film profiles, that's where we get in. It's almost like using a Fuji camera right now. I mean, technically there are Fujifilm type of cameras. There's so many film profiles here that it's a little bit overwhelming. My favorite one to use that I've been touching is this one, the 500T. It immediately just looks so much better, in my opinion. I love the 500T. That's kind of what I'm using here. But next thing we're gonna do, and then you have Film Developer, which allows you to just basically edit the film profile itself. So you can boost the colors. You can enable. So I'm gonna boost the colors a little bit. This allows more saturation. In this case, I'm gonna just boost it a little bit because I think it's a little bit like not much, but I'm not gonna boost it like that much because that looks it looks a little bit unnaturally saturated. But I'm gonna put it up to like, okay. And I kind of ignore the print part, but I tend to keep it in the Fujifilm because I like the Fujifilm look a little bit more. Then you can play with the total contrast, which is, I think, I like that. That's how I got the background to be a little bit darker, as you can see here earlier. That's how I did it. I like this way looking. This is completely personal preference, but that's how I like it. Now, here's the more important ones for most people. It's halation and film grain and bloom. Now, you can completely enable and disable this. As you can see, I'm going to enable halation, and you can see the bottom of my grass here is changing into yellowish. Yeah, I'll keep it there. I think it looks cool. Film grain, you can also change how big your film grain is. 65 millimeter to me is a little bit too much. So I tend to keep it at about a 60, I keep it about a 35, super 35. I tend to just keep film damage on sometimes because I just like the way film damage looks sometimes. But you know, it depends on what you're going for, but I like the occasional film damage if I'm going for like a retro look. But for my case, I don't really touch these as much. I don't really notice film breath as much. Gate weave looks a little bit weird. It's like when it pulses a little bit. I don't really touch those as much. What I do just touch, especially because I really like this, I especially like this one a lot, is the vignette. Vignette is, I'm a big vignette guy. I love a vignette. I gotta love a vignette. Because I think vignetting just makes everything look a little bit more cinematic. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a perfect person when it comes to color grading either. Film grain instantly. The film grain's just right there. It really just does add this extra layer of like film. It really does emulate it quite well. And again, you have to really think about it this way. I know in DaVinci this isn't a crazy thing because DaVinci has this all built in, but Final Cut doesn't. And I like Final Cut because of how fast it is. So the fact you can just have this tool and then edit everything in Final Cut, export in Final Cut, and have a decent film profile, it's amazing. Another one I did was here. I'm gonna turn this off to show you what it looked like before. This looks very digital, like right now. I won't lie. Like this is what it comes out. This is coming straight from my S-Log 3 with some color adjustments.
I wish you could change that.
With color correction, basically.
I don't really play volleyball, but you know.
And it looks very it looks very Sony camera. It looks very Sony camera, like straight from like an auto profile. But now if I add the enhancer on it,
but you know, there it is, and all the
now it kind of looks like an old school retro type of film camera, in my opinion. But again, this is a completely subjective thing. If you don't like this type of if you don't like filmish looks, and you only want this like digital over sharpened look, I know some people do. But I don't think the enhancer is your thing. I do, however, think if you're looking for like an easy way to get a film look in Final Cut Pro without having to think too much about it, like for example, again, we can completely change this up. Let's say I want to change it to more of a Fujifilm look. I kind of like Fujifilm Superia, for example. Wow, it looks like Fujifilm Superia. So yeah, thank you to Hansen for letting me try your software. I am very impressed by it, and honestly, I do think it's going to be great for when I decide to use Final Cut Pro to make really quick social media stuff. Because there are a lot of times where I'm like, damn, I do not want to use DaVinci because DaVinci is going to slow down my computer really badly, especially since I'm on a laptop. It's not my favorite. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, like and follow for more. Peace.